Look at the men in this photograph. For decades, the British Indian Army stood as a rare, unified brotherhood. Hindus, Muslims, and Sikhs lived in the same barracks, ate together, and fought shoulder to shoulder in global conflicts across the world. But in the summer of 1947, that unity was fractured. The very institution that defied religious division was ordered to physically split its ranks based entirely on faith. Beyond the task of drawing a border, leaders had mere weeks to physically untangle a subcontinent. They had to carve up infantry regiments, divvy up weapon stockpiles, separate naval fleets, and negotiate the future of over 500 princely states. Attempting to untangle 2 centuries of integrated administration in a few days turned a moment of liberation into a chaotic scramble. The clock was running out, and the administrative solutions were often as messy as the problems they tried to solve. This chart illustrates the strict arithmetic used to divide the troops. Roughly 2/3 of the military, mostly Hindu and Sikh soldiers, were assigned to India. The remaining 1/3, predominantly Muslim, went to Pakistan. Dividing physical assets like these naval ships required an entirely different negotiation. Because India had a larger coastline, it retained a larger fleet. Meanwhile, all 16 of the military's weapon factories were physically located in Indian territory. To balance the scales, India had to pay financial compensation so Pakistan could build its own. By August 1947, army camps across the country hosted deeply emotional farewell parties. Officers who had survived wars together held hands, sang parting songs, and wept as they packed their bags to go serve under different flags. Dividing the army forced a permanent choice between brothers. These men were now serving different flags, their lifelong bonds discarded for the sake of a new map. This is Cyril Radcliffe, an English lawyer tasked by Lord Mountbatten to draw the official borders of 2 new nations in exactly 5 weeks. He had never visited India before. He knew nothing of its local politics, and by his own admission, he didn't even understand its geography. This map shows the puzzle. Radcliffe sliced through dense communities and states. Take Lahore. Despite a massive Hindu and Sikh population, it was awarded to Pakistan to provide a metropolitan center. Later, a private lunch with Mountbatten shifted Firozapur and Gurdaspur to India. The permanent borders defining 2 modern nations emerged from a mix of geographical ignorance, arbitrary logic, and hasty lunchtime compromises. Look at Sardar Patel. He tackled the map like a grand master, leveraging intense pressure to merge over 500 princely states into the Indian Union. Jinnah, meanwhile, took a much more delayed approach to securing states for Pakistan, distracted by other administrative hurdles. This contrast created explosive anomalies, most notably in Bhopal. Here, a massive Hindu majority was governed by a Muslim ruler, Nawab Hamidullah Khan, determined to either join Pakistan or declare total independence. For 2 years, the Nawab refused to fly the Indian flag. Frustration boiled over in 1949, when civilians marched to raise the tricolor themselves. As they attempted to raise the tricolor themselves, the Nawab's police opened fire into the crowd. 10 people were killed, including a young boy. Faced with intense civilian rebellion and the threat of military action from Patel, the Nawab finally surrendered. India's final map relied on political signatures, but it was ultimately secured by the relentless pressure and blood of citizens rebelling against their own rulers. This portrait of Muhammad Ali Jinnah hides a massive geopolitical miscalculation. He assumed the subcontinent would be cleanly split into 2 entirely new identities, Pakistan and Hindustan. He viewed the word India as a colonial stame that the new government would eagerly discard. He was completely caught off guard when Jawaharlal Nehru and the Congress Party officially adopted the name India. Legally and diplomatically, this decision was massive. By keeping the name, the global community viewed India as the continuing historical entity. Pakistan was legally framed as a newly carved-out breakaway state. Jinnah's assumption cost him dearly. By maintaining its title, India inherited an instant global identity, unbroken international treaties, and a continuous historical legacy. Looking at Nehru at this microphone, delivering his Tryst with Destiny speech, you hear a deeply emotional, visionary promise of progress and democracy. Over in Pakistan, Jinnah delivered a surprisingly pragmatic and secular speech on August 11th, stressing that religion should have nothing to do with the business of the state and promising equal rights for all citizens. But high-minded political visions rarely match the reality on the ground. The rushed, arbitrary borders sparked panic, triggering the largest mass migration in human history. Millions of people left everything behind, walking toward a horizon of violence and uncertainty. Cyril Rodcliffe lived the rest of his life weighed down by guilt, fully aware of the death toll his map caused. And the soldiers who wept in each other's arms at farewell parties soon found themselves aiming rifles across the very border they were forced to create. The stroke of midnight brought freedom, but the logistical failures and hasty decisions exacted a massive human cost. The scars of those hurried decisions, arbitrary maps, and logistical failures remain visible today. To understand the friction of the present, you have to look closely at the chaos of how it all began.